Good afternoon. Had to edit that one. Chairman Plummer, Vice Chair Hillier, Ranking Member, and members of the House Constitutional Amendments Committee, my name is Jaime Miracle, and I'm the Deputy Director for Pro-Choice Ohio, a statewide organization that advocates for abortion rights and reproductive freedom for all Ohioans. I am here today to testify on behalf of our staff, volunteers, and supporters across Ohio in opposition to Substitute Senate Joint Resolution 2. You've heard a lot of testimony against this resolution and its House companion, S.J.R. 1. Over and over again, people have testified how critical it is in any functional, healthy democracy for the voices of the people to be heard. Unfortunately, in Ohio, these voices are getting harder and harder to hear through the noise of our rigged political process. Time and again, this legislature shows that maintaining and hoarding their own political power is more important than doing their job, which is to represent the people of our state. Just as it did in the redistricting process, dismantling the ballot initiative process once again consolidates power among politicians and silences the voices of Ohioans. Ballot initiatives are the only remaining way for Ohioans to show this legislature what we want our state to be. With Senate Joint Resolution 2, the legislature is once again changing the rules to rig the system by allowing a small minority of Ohioans to block initiatives that the majority want enacted. The shredding of our Constitution impacts so many issues Ohioans care about: a living wage, gerrymandering, abortion rights, and many more. So many issues that the majority of Ohioans support, but are not reflected in the votes of our rigged legislature. Despite polls continuously showing that the majority of Ohioans believe that an individual should have the right to access abortion, this legislature has enacted more than 30 restrictions on abortion care since 2011. We saw the impact of those attacks last year when immediately after the Dobbs decision was released, the 6-week abortion ban was allowed to go into effect. For nearly 3 months while this ban was in place, Ohioans suffered the harms inflicted by this legislature when they passed that draconian abortion ban. When the ban was in place, people across the state were forced to travel or continue a pregnancy against their will. Some risked their health to travel. Others faced the daunting cost to take multiple days off work to travel across state lines for health care. Black, brown, Latina, and indigenous, and other Ohioans of color, young Ohioans, Ohioans with disabilities, Ohioans living in poverty, Ohioans living in rural areas, and LGBTQ plus Ohioans are disproportionately impacted by harmful abortion bans and so many other policies passed by this legislature. Today is the 1-year anniversary of the leak of the Dobbs decision. In light of that anniversary, it is even more important that we are reminded of the deep harms that are caused by abortion bans passed by this legislature. Today, while I've been sitting here fighting for our right to go to the ballot to protect Ohioans from those harms, volunteers are spread across the state doing the hard work of collecting signatures and doing the work to get our amendment qualified. These hardworking Ohioans deserve the right for their voices to be heard in our democracy. They deserve the right to go to the ballot for what they believe. I also think that it's telling this hearing is happening today on primary election day, a day when thousands of Ohioans are exercising their right to vote and having their voices heard in our government. Instead of celebrating this right and increasing access to the polls in our democracy, here we are again in yet another committee hearing talking about silencing the voices of voters. This rushed legislative process for considering this amendment, combined with an attempt to put it to the voters in an August special election instead of the November general election, shows just how far politicians in Ohio will go to consolidate and protect their power. Just a few months ago, this legislative body eliminated August elections. Secretary of State Frank LaRose said himself in testimony to the legislature that these unnecessary off-cycle elections are good for taxpayers, election officials, or the civic health of our state. It's time to let them go. Voters across our state must have access to the ballot to pass initiatives that help our communities, that make Ohio a state where all can thrive, not just merely survive. Limiting access to the ballot is unpopular and unnecessary. Pro-Choice Ohio strongly urges a no on Substitute Senate Joint Resolution 2.